Hello,
Hello,
welcome in the interview.
thank you.
We are going to ask you some of the questions, so be ready to answer.
Yeah,
The first question asks, global health seems to be in news more and more in recent years. Talk about what global health is and why it is important to pay attention for it.
so thank you for that question. So global health is an area of research, practice, and it's an area of study, research, and practice that places priority in improving health and achieving equity in health for all people worldwide. So people should pay attention to global health because when, for example, there is like those chronic diseases, it's global health which can intervene, or they make study about a disease, a new disease, and then find a medicine. So people should pay attention to global health.
So disease can come to us in different ways.
Mhm.
Explain the difference between communicable and non-communicable disease.
So thank you. So communicable diseases refer to those diseases which can be spread from one person to another person, or from like animals to one to a person. So like a typical example of communicable diseases is cold can be spread, through the air, contact with when you have a contact with someone with cold, so you directly get the cold. So cold is one of the example of communicable diseases, while non-communicable diseases are those diseases caused by the infection but that are not spread with contact with people, or that are not spread with when the people are in contact and you have like a disease, you cannot spread it to me. So that's a non-communicable diseases. Example of those non-communicable diseases, there are those diseases in cardiovascular, and there are also diabetes is also non-communicable disease.
Well, let's talk about Ebola, since I'm sure more of our viewers have heard a lot about that. What is it? And is it communicable or non-communicable? Then how do people get it?
So Ebola is known as Ebola hemorrhagic fever. People like to call it fever because it's rare and it's a deadly disease caused by infection called genus Ebola virus. So Ebola was found for the first time in 1976 near the lake Ebola in DRC. So that's why they call it Ebola. So Ebola can cause diseases, and people can get Ebola through direct contact through broken skin or mucus, for example, in the eyes, nose, or mouth, with people who have for example, if you touch a dead body. For someone who died with Ebola, you can get Ebola if you go in the contact with the fluid blood of someone who was sick with Ebola, so you can get Ebola. And also Ebola can be spread by having unprotected sex with someone who recover from Ebola. And also like people can get Ebola by air, can spread Ebola by air. So if you are in an environmental where there are people who have Ebola, they can spread it through air. So Ebola it's a communicable disease because can be spread with air, or through like having a direct contact with someone who has Ebola.
Thank you, Doriane. So what would raise a person's risk of getting Ebola?
So a person's as I said before, Ebola is disease which can cause death. So people who have Ebola, most of the time they die.
Okay, so to prevent or at least lessen the chance of getting Ebola, what should people do?
So people to prevent themselves of getting Ebola, what they can do is, if you are in area where there is Ebola, according to the center of preventing Ebola, so you can like disinfect any infected areas. If you are in for example, for those nurses who are taking care of people who have Ebola, they have to make sure that they disinfect any affected areas, including clothes, including beds, every single thing that is touched with a person with Ebola, it can be like disinfect. And also the nurses and also people who come to visit their families who are affected by Ebola, what they can do is just wash their hand with warm water, or they can use like alcohol-based hand sanitizer. instead of using warm water and soap. And also, like, something else that they can know is like knowing the warning signs of Ebola, like knowing that those people, you don't have to know. If you are doubting or you think that someone is having Ebola, directly contact the hospital in order to avoid that that person is going to spread, as we have seen that it's a communicable disease. You just have to avoid that that person is going to spread the infection. And another thing that they can do is to avoid to touch a dead body. If you know that someone died from Ebola, don't touch him or her, cause you can also get Ebola. The last thing is avoiding traveling in affected areas, and also another thing is like avoiding having like unprotected sex with someone who recover from Ebola, as we have seen that Ebola can also be spread by having unprotected sex, or use condom in order to protect you from getting that infection.
Thank you. Outbreaks such as the one related to Ebola can generate a lot of rumors and misinformation, and even panic about what disease is, how is it transmitted, and how likely people are to get it. So talk about the need for educating people about facts, vice myths.
So, like, this is a very crucial question, and this is very important because people need to know about Ebola so that they can't confuse. Because there are some cases where people get like the signs of Ebola, and then when they don't go directly to the hospital, they died. So, but if they were educated, know that if I saw my friend is having like signs which can like I start doubting that my friend is having signs that can cause Ebola signs, Ebola signs, what you can do, just directly contact the hospital. So people need to be educated about the Ebola so that they stop confusing Ebola or with those traditional diseases, because some people get sick with Ebola, and then instead of taking them to the hospital, they just take them to the traditional doctors, and that can cause, as I said, it's a communicable diseases that one person can spread can spread Ebola to like 1,000 people. So this is very important to educate people about Ebola, in order to know that the signs, what they can do in case they have like people presenting the signs of Ebola. That's really crucial, that people need to know what's the Ebola, how is it spread, and what are the signs, so that they can know what they can do in case they think that someone is having Ebola signs.
How about the complications that Ebola raises for the rights of travelers and the responsibilities of governments? Kachi Hickox, for example, a nurse from a mine who returned to the States following a trip to West Africa in the fall of 2014, promptly had quarantine-related restrictions thrust upon her, restrictions that she was very much against. Briefly describe the difficulties and balancing individual rights and governmental responsibility.
So, first of all, let me explain what is quarantine. Quarantine is like when, for example, that example that they gave me of a nurse with that's who comes from like a country where there was Ebola. So that nurse was put it somewhere in order to make a checkup to know that that nurse is not contaminated with Ebola. So I understand that she was against that, but the government have the rights like to protect the citizens. Here it comes the right. It comes the how can I say, the rules of like doing what is right. As the government has the responsibility to protect its people from like the big number. It's just the government has to look at the government has to look at the big benefit of the population, because if they could have like let that nurse coming from like an area where they were Ebola infection, and then the nurse come and enter in the country without checking that if she was affected by the Ebola, she could have spread the Ebola to other people. So the government has the right to protect its citizen by first of all checking that the nurse is not affected, so that she or he can enter in the country. So what I can say about this, the government has done the right thing and it has the right to protect its citizens.
So let's talk about smoking and tobacco use, which is considered a big world health problem and raises similar issues to Ebola in terms of rights and responsibilities. Just about everyone knows that smoking harms health. So what does it to do to the body?
So, like, smoking is a big issue and a big problem. Unfortunately, people are considering it as something normal. But like, let me tell you, like smoking, it harm every near organ of the body, and it's caused smoking-related illness such as cancer, heart diseases, and chronic bronchitis and tuberculosis. And also, there are other related diseases caused by the smoking. So if people could let it or like stop it, that would be better, cause it can even cause cancer, and cancer is not curable. So that's one of the biggest diseases that can be caused by smoking.
So Doriane, what about second-hand smoke? And explain what does it and how it affects people.
So the second-hand smoke is called environmental tobacco smoke. It's when someone near you is smoking, but you are not smoking, but you are affected by the smoke that people is. That if someone is smoking and you are near him or her, so you make sure that you too you have, like, your body is harmed as someone who is smoking, because you are getting the second harm, the second smoke, and this can cause cancer. That's why you can even see people like the children at early age are having sinusitis, nasal and respiratory infection or problems because of their parents. Most of the time they smoke when their children are near them. So that's caused by the second-hand smoke.
So people don't typically think of tobacco as a drug like heroin or cocaine, but the addiction it creates is strong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should we think of tobacco use as a form of substance abuse?
So tobacco also is a kind of drug, because when people, I don't know if you have some that people who start smoking, they can't stop because they get addicted. They get addicted to one of the components which is made with tobacco, which is nicotine, and nicotine is also a drug. So it is considered as a drug addiction because it has nicotine and people get like addicted to it.
Dorian, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you too.